All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the January 9th, 2025 Farmington School Board meeting. This is sort of an added meeting to our regular schedule as we're going to take a look at our default budget tonight. But at this time, I ask that you all please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I just found out that it's Mr. Henry's birthday today, so Mr. Henry, thank you for being here to tape
The
our
man
meeting
behind the
despite the
curtain.
fact that it's your
Yes.
birthday. We appreciate that. All right, any public participation?
I'll withhold my singing
I see.
happy birthday during
Yeah.
public participation.
All right, we're here basically for unfinished business. We did briefly discuss default budget the other night, but we want to take a deeper look at this as we have to have one prepared, obviously. So I don't know if, Mac, if you wanted to
Yeah, I'll
talk
take
about it.
away. Sure. So how we got here, we start with the default budget with the approved amount from last year, and we can only add in any necessary decreases or increases. The only necessary decrease was a decrease to our contractual insurance plan for the unemployment. Everything else was an increase. And that only included union employees, their benefits, and are transferred to the food service fund, as well as insurance categories for general liability and workers' compensation. It represents a 2.2% increase over the previously approved budget, and it represents a 6.35% difference. So it's 6.35% higher than the original budget you proposed before the Budget Committee meeting the other night. And with their proposed additions, it's about 3.8% higher than what the Budget Committee voted for, which we don't know if that'll stand, but those are the figures as it is. So the default budget is up $358,255 over last year's approved budget. I had to bring this budget to our legal representative, Eric, and he reviewed it, gave me some edits. I took out what he said should not be in there, and then we reviewed it again over the phone, and we concurred at this number.
And since we met the other night before the Budget Committee meeting, it's my understanding that they added, what was the figure that they added?
300 for, sorry. It's your
Sorry, what was
Well,
that?
no,
That's fine, Jess, you can take it away. I mean,
it was 300 for.
300 for the buses,
Okay,
and then 125 for FHS boiler.
so they're recommending to increase the budget, they have increased the budget by 425,000.
Correct.
I think that's the first time in my tenure that that's happened.
Yeah.
Usually
If,
it's,
depending on the CRF, that will change that number. So if we're taking 90,000 out of the CRF for the bus,
Yeah.
that we still haven't finalized, that would be 200,000.
so Eric looked at this.
yes, twice. Well, physically, the second time we talked about it on the phone as I was making the edits.
I'm just curious, and you can say that it's not public, but what are some of the things that he said to change or update?
Yeah, no, it's totally public. It was just I had tunnel vision when I was filling out some of the numbers, so.
Okay.
He pointed out to me that we can't increase the district resource officer line because I tried to up it to what the contract is for.
Okay.
But I could technically only do that, his explanation is if we put the warrant to the voters with an expectation it would be renewed year after year after year, which I don't think we did. I don't think we put like the 250, that we wouldn't have had the numbers, but if we had numbers for a variety of years and the voters agreed to purposefully vote for a warrant that guaranteed it year after year after year, it'd be a different story. But he said, this is like, you can't just dump a bunch of money in there. So I said, okay.
Okay.
And then the other one was, this is where the tunnel vision comes into play. I was adding health insurance costs to non-union employees by accident. As I was going through the budget. So he just pointed out the few that needed to be removed, and I took them out. The last one we just had a conversation on was the food service fund, and he said, as long as you're doing this under a provision which is assumed that the school district is allocating money to that fund to ensure the contract is fulfilled for feeding children. You're required by an RSA to do it, and you can do it that way. So we agreed that that was the case.
Okay,
And the budget committee's public hearing is next Tuesday,
correct,
which is the 14th?
yes.
Yeah. Um,
6 PM.
they're not doing the town one on the same night? No. No, probably can't anyway. Are there any specific questions by board members?
I don't know.
And all the changes are highlighted red for a decrease, for an increase, and green for a decrease. So you can kind of narrow your vision as you're looking through it. You don't have to look at necessarily every line, because I just set up the doc to tell you what's changing. And those, so if you do have a question on any of those, you can let me know, or if you see anything that you think is out of line, but.
And it's changing from what, I'm sorry,
Just changing from what was approved the year prior. So the percent difference in the increase or decrease is from the year prior. So last year's proposed budget that was approved. That starts your new default at
Okay.
that number.
Thank
And you
you.
go up or down from there.
okay.
And I assume the increases in the insurance lines, like general liability, workman's comp, those are the two that are on this page.
Mm-hmm.
Those aren't costs we can control.
No, they are not. They are set by Primex.
Since both parties negotiating the custodial agreement have ratified them to move forward to the voters, has the budget committee seen those numbers?
No,
Have they asked to see those numbers?
no.
Okay.
Can we?
This budget season feels so different to me. I don't know why.
Yeah, I know.
And it's
I don't know.
getting, I don't know why. It feels very different.
Well, for me, because I only have this last year and this year, last year the board was completely different.
Right.
Much more hands-off,
Yes.
much smaller.
Oh,
And
budget.
the
Oh.
budget
Committee.
committee was much smaller, much more hands-off, and I would say, with all due respect, less town or less budget experience.
Mhm.
So,
Makes
yes,
sense.
it is very different.
And yeah, less legal experience too.
Less legal,
Yeah.
that's yes, less experience as a
All
whole, I think. There's a lot of knowledge on this current board, committee.
Are they, but during the conversations with the budget committee, are they aware that we just negotiated? Are they aware of the custodial agreement?
I honestly have not said anything, I don't know that they are.
I think they're aware that it's a negotiation
I mean, there's
season.
one up every year.
Yeah.
Every year, it's another one, so I just.
They asked about the teacher one, and I said that was next year.
And I feel like when they asked that and you said it's next year, the custodians were this year, I feel like you said
I
that,
think it's probably,
but I can't be 100% certain, and nobody asked any questions about it.
I agree, but that is the way I talk. I normally kind of fill in if there's another,
Yeah.
that's a good
Oh,
point.
they asked when teachers were up again?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay.
Was that during your presentation
Yes.
night? Okay, that's not ringing a bell, but I can't remember everything.
Did we, in this budget,
Mhm.
as it is right now, do we have the estimated numbers for custodians?
They're not in there because they're going to be a warrant article. And if that warrant article fails, then everything kind of stays the same way as it is.
Right.
So I did increase their medical costs, however,
Okay.
because that doesn't change. But
Yeah.
I mean, I can't really budget for a default number on a new salary proposal, for
Right.
example.
I didn't know if you had just kind of put
Well, and actually, if it didn't pass
you have to,
and we went to default, it would just stay,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
because there's no other step in there, so, okay. I'm usually not at the budget committee public hearing. When are they gonna see this?
I think the board has complete control, well, that you do have complete control of the default, so
As soon as we.
as soon as we publicize it, I
As
guess.
soon as we approve this, they should get a copy.
Yeah, I can send it to, it's not Cassidy anymore, but whoever, I forget her name. But yes, I can get it sent to them once we approve it.
I mean, most of the increases on our, that we have proposed are fixed, well, not fixed, but costs we can't control, insurance.
Right. Right.
Um,
Yeah, it's essentially, the frame of mind is anything you would need to meet the contractual obligations of the district.
Right.
If it's like not a pre-negotiated thing, then it's really not applicable, so it's a good test if you see anything on there that doesn't fall outside, or inside of that scope.
And all the salary lines that are increased are per the CBA.
Yes. Yep.
And you said there are additions, the budget committee's additions are in this?
I did some figures for you guys, because I figured, it's kind of double wording, but I thought you guys might want to know kind of what the statistics represented after that meeting. So, like, the default would have been 6.3% higher than your original proposed. It's 3.8 higher than what the proposal is with the budget committee's edits to
Okay.
it. So that's kind of the reason why I did that. So like, I have a couple extra figures on my worksheet, but, and then at the bottom is like what it looks like with the total appropriation. So that's when you add in Fund 21 and 22.
Okay.
Which those numbers don't change. They just, because the idea is the expense equals the revenue, so you're not raising any money in that regard. But you have to, when you do the warrant, you have to put those numbers on there so everyone's aware. And that it becomes something that they're voting on to happen, so.
Okay.
Another fun fact, Eric said some of his districts don't even do this with him, and we had a chuckle. Yeah,
They don't have him review their default budget?
yeah, it was surprising. He said we're one of 2 or 3. But I think it's a better policy to have second pair of eyes than not.
I'm worried about digesting this tonight. Last year, just looking back, last year we got the draft default on 11/27.
Wow.
So I'm just curious why.
Yeah, just being honest, Joel, I think I just got caught up in the proposed budget this year and with all the edits that we were making and getting ready for all the various meetings and everything, so. I don't know if that shook me out of whack or not, but I would have liked to have had it to you sooner, yes.
Is anybody ready to take a vote?
This is the final hour, correct?
Yep. I'll make a motion to accept the default budget as presented and share with the budget committee once that's done.
Motion by Mrs. Lozay,
Second?
second by Mrs. Parker. Discussion. Did Eric look at it last year?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, you guys said you wanted that to happen last year. It was one of the first times we sat together, so we talked about things.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to abstain.
Joe, can you abstain, or does that ruin the quorum?
Nope, we have.
Nope, you
we
get,
have a
you get the majority of the three of
Oh,
us.
okay, right, you're right, sorry.
And I'll state why you're supposed to always say why you abstain.
Sure.
Like when you're absent from a meeting. I'm abstaining because I just don't feel comfortable saying yes and not having more time to digest it, so.
And the amount you guys are confirming is the Fund 10 amount, 16,671,513.
I was on that page. but,
Oh, you wanna put that in the motion?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so, budget as presented with the Fund 10 default proposed 16,671,513.
Yep, and if approved, creates a total default appropriation of $18,371,151.
Right, which includes Fund 21 at 499,638, and Fund 22 at 1,200,000.
Are you okay with that addition?
I am.
We won't have to revote, the vote will stay the same. All right, thank you. Deliberative session.
Should we have Giselle read that for the record? I don't know.
Yeah, when we put, I'm not sure exactly if I asked for that to be on there. I saw that it was
Oh,
on there.
sorry.
No, I saw that it was on there, and then I was like, well, we're gonna have to discuss it anyway, so.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Since our last meeting, I've had a couple of conversations, and Mrs. Palmer and I received an email basically with RSA 132.
Yeah.
And I think the original email, Jess, that you received from Manny, that you forwarded to me, he didn't quote the RSA, he just basically said, I think.
Yes.
So I don't know if he's had a chance to look at that RSA, but the way that we're interpreting it, the way that it's worded, it's pretty self-explanatory. We are well within the time frame to host the deliberative session on February 1st. Now, there's a question on whether or not the snow date, I think, could be February 8th.
Yes.
Because that could be that 25th day. We'll worry about that if we have to. But we're gonna go with February 1st.
Now, I am
Nine.
out of town that day, but
Okay.
just.
February 1st, 9 AM, in the high school gym. So originally, I asked somebody to let someone from the 500 know that we were gonna do it on the 8th. So I don't know if someone did let them know. They have the gym booked every Saturday, but they will now need to be known that it's February 1st instead of the 8th.
With a snow day of the 8th.
I don't wanna nail that down.
Okay.
That day's in question, cause it's the 25th day.
Correct.
Right. I mean, we could do a snow day midweek, or,
Yep.
like, or kind of,
That's it.
You just
yeah,
do
it
it
would
during
have to
that
be,
week,
yeah,
do an evening thing.
yeah.
Okay. So we got that squared away.
And that's the high school gym, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
I also don't know why Katrina put new business on, but was it something that we thought of?
No.
Oh, okay.
We'll need to let Larry know about the first.
I'll put it.
Oh,
on
yeah,
the
'cause
same
they'll have to
email.
set
They'll have
up.
to set up.
Oh, good idea.
Mr. Henry, is it you that sets up for the taping of that? Yeah,
Yes, and I usually have a second person.
the answer was yes, and he has help, okay. I couldn't remember. All right, thank you.
It's not just recorded, we do live streaming.
Oh,
Right,
right, yeah.
right.
No, I feel like it's like a new, it's like our first rodeo for some reason, I don't know.
Any public participation, there's no public here, so I didn't think there would be. Yes?
Oh.
Hello?
Somebody's texting me.
Oh.
A question and has asked me to ask you.
Sure.
Sure.
Aren't they supposed to vote on warrant articles that have to be presented at the public hearing on Tuesday?
No,
Was the question I had.
we usually do those before deliberative, I thought.
Those, I've never seen those presented at the,
No,
Yes. I'm quite sure we did warrant articles. Yes,
Yes.
I remember.
before the public hearing?
No, they were presented for the public hearing.
At the public
At the
hearing.
public
So they can put them on. Wait, isn't the,
I thought
'Cause we
we do
approve-
it at our public hearing, and then,
well, right, because can't they petition
Because I
it?
remember sitting at the budget committee table and voting on warrant articles that we had already voted on. Because I was like, oh, I'm voting twice.
We don't even have warrant
We don't-
articles put together.
no. So it's not happening right now.
Unless we meet Monday.
Yep.
Give me a Monday.
Yes,
What?
before I ask if I'm available.
Oh.
Oh,
Mr. Henry's available.
tis season, budget season.
I personally would like to see very little warrant articles,
I don't,
but
yeah.
I think it's just gonna be the two, right? The budget. And then,
well, obviously the custodial agreement's on there.
yeah, in which case you ratified that, so we just have to draw it up.
What did we have any, we started to discuss some potential warrant articles a little while back. Trying to think of what,
It would be custodians,
I mean, I think it's always smart to add to the special ed
right,
TRF.
Mhm.
we weren't adding for anything for athletics. No buses. No construction. There wasn't anything that was in any of the department heads that, when they sent in their budget recommendations, there were nothing on their lists that would warrant a warrant.
Would there be a warrant based on the increase that the budget committee put in? So for the boiler and or the heating system and for buses, would that be a warrant?
They
Well,
just,
no, not if they're adding it right into the budget.
no, they discussed
Okay.
it, but yeah, it's just,
So then,
What about, if they add a new line,
These were current lines.
okay,
I have them, but they're outside.
okay, no, I just wanted
Yep,
to make.
nope, that's good. Very good question.
So Monday at 5:30,
Yep.
Be there, be
I have
square.
to iron those out, Monday at 5:30. Okay, so our next meeting, although it says January 27th on the agenda, will be January 13th, right here at 5:30. Will be televised, Mr. Henry is available.
We'll have to get it posted tomorrow.
Do we need to go into non-public for?
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll entertain a motion to go into non-public one for RSA 90, under RSA 91-A:3, 2A, B, and C for nominations and resignations.
So moved.
So moved by Mrs. Parker,
Second?
second by Mrs. Lozay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night, everyone.
Good night.